If you are choosing your retinol only based on percentage or only based on your skin type, then you should stop. Because chances are you're doing it completely wrong. I recently asked you guys on my community poll, what do you think? What do you look at first when choosing a retinol? 45% of you said percentage strength and 41% of you said skin type. And honestly, both of these answers just on their own can mess up your skin. Because choosing a retinol only based on percentage is like choosing a workout plan only based on how intense it looks. And choosing only based on your skin type is also incomplete. The real decision that goes into choosing a retinol is much more layered. So in today's video, I'm breaking down 4 factors you should actually be considering while choosing a retinoid. So you stop wasting time, your money, and your skin barrier. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Neha here. I'm an ICA certified skincare coach. The first factor should be your skin concern. What are you trying to fix? Because not all retinoids serve the same purpose equally. If your goals are fine lines, wrinkles, skin texture, then the most studied and the proven ingredient is tretinoid. But here is the reality. It is prescription in many countries. It is stronger, it has a higher irritation profile, and it comes with higher irritation risk. Now, personally, this is important. I don't use tretinoid, and I'm not saying it should be this way for every single person, as we all are different beings. We all have different lifestyles, different skin concerns, different genetics. And yes, based on all these concerns, our current skin situation, choosing a retinoid, this decision should be made. And that's what I see most people get wrong. They jump straight away to the most strongest option. And I gave you my example because personally, I have been asked a lot of times why I don't straight away go and use tretinoin and why I'm testing all these skincare OTC retinoids. And the answer to that purely is my skin at this moment in time does not need that level of correction yet. Probably 4 or 5 years down the line when I'm 45, 46, I might start using one. The point I'm trying to make, don't jump to the strongest option without needing it. It doesn't matter if you are 40 or not, but if your skin needs that level of correction, go for it. But if it doesn't need that level of correction, you can actually wait. Also, if your skin concern is acne, your best first-line retinoid is adapalene. It's more targeted for acne, more stable, and generally better tolerated than other retinoids. But here is the nuance. Adapalene isn't only for acne, it still has long-term anti-aging skin benefits. A quick thing before we continue, especially if you have brown skin, you've been dealing with problems like pigmentation, open pores, uneven skin tone texture, these could be barrier-related problems. I have created a free guide where I break down 5 biggest mistakes that are quietly damaging your barrier without you even realizing it. It is free, you can download it right away from the pinned comments below. Another skin concern, if you have hyperpigmentation or melasma, I can tell you after using retinol for almost 6 years now, they are not the first line, they are not the only standalone solution for hyperpigmentation, melasma, dark spots. For me, they didn't significantly fade pigmentation until I combined them with targeted ingredients. So if your only concern at this point in time is hyperpigmentation, melasma, dark spots, and the first thing that comes to your mind is retinoids, I would challenge that approach. You don't need retinoids at this point. You need targeted actives or even in-clinic treatments. Retinoids can support, but they shouldn't be your primary weapon when it comes to hyperpigmentation, melasma, and dark spots. Let me also touch upon retinol esters, the mildest form of OTC retinol. Now, these are the mildest form of vitamin A. They need multiple conversion steps to retinoic acid, the form that your skin actually uses, which literally means they are far less effective than a retinol or a retinaldehyde. Now, from my experience, I can tell you, since these are so mild, you can use them as maintenance creams on the non-retinol nights and use your powerful retinol on the retinoid nights, which will actually give you long-term anti-aging benefits. So if you're expecting serious anti-aging benefits, retinol esters should not be your primary selection. Moving on to factor number 2 that decides what kind of retinol you should choose is your skin's tolerance and your retinoid journey. Because are you a beginner or retinoid trained, that changes everything. If you are a beginner, even a 0.1% retinol can irritate your skin. So instead of chasing strength, you should focus on starting slow and low. 0.1% once or twice a week, then increase frequency rather than increasing strength, because consistency beats strength intensity here. Most people damage their skin barrier not because retinol is bad, but because they want the results too early. They rush the process. Factor number 3 in choosing a retinol is your skin type. Now this matters, but only after tolerance. If you're sensitive skin, start with 0.1% retinol. Stay there longer. Focus on barrier support. If you have normal to resilient skin, you can start slightly higher or even consider retinaldehyde. Since retinaldehyde is one step closer to retinol, which means it converts faster to retinoic acid, it is more potent, it can be more irritating. And again, this only works if your skin can tolerate it. Otherwise, you're just triggering irritation, not results. And lastly, factor number 4, choosing a retinol should depend a lot on delivery systems. Another very important factor that decides what kind of retinoid you should go for is the delivery system. Now, I have spoken about delivery system in my other video as well, which is linked up here in the cards and also in the description. You can watch that later once you finish this video. Delivery system in a skincare are the recent novelties and honestly the most important part, because remember, a poorly formulated retinaldehyde can perform worse than a very well formulated retinol. Even when retinaldehyde is more potent than retinol, formulation makes a big difference. Things like encapsulation, lipid carriers, nanoparticle delivery systems, these help stabilize the retinol, deliver it deeper into the skin and reduce irritation. And yes, there are research studies supporting that. Well-designed delivery systems can improve both efficacy and tolerability. I will link some of that research in the description. So instead of asking what percentage retinol is, you should be asking how this is formulated. So let's simplify this. Stop choosing your retinol based on percentage alone or your skin type alone or random hype online, and start choosing based on your skin concern, your tolerance level, your skin type, and the formulation quality. Because the goal with retinoid is never to use the strongest one. The goal is to use the one you can stick to consistently without damaging your skin. That's what actually gives results. I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you do let me know in the comments. Do check the free guide in the pinned comments and in the description if you have broken skin barrier and how can you fix it. And if you are confused about your skincare and you want to work with me one-on-one, the link is also pinned in the description and in the comments. And that is all for today's video. I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, stay tuned, stay beautiful.